Окей, кажется, мы в онлайне. Good morning, everyone. Доброе утро всем. Рада приветствовать на первом Women DevFest, организованный, приуроченный, как один из фестивалей, которые проходят в ноябре и декабре. И это второй фест, организованный в Алматы, но онлайн, уже приуроченный к женщинам в IT, Women in Tech, и амбассадорами Women Techmakers, комьюнити Гугла для поддержки женщин в сфере тех. Вот сегодня здесь у нас потрясающие спикеры, и разрешите дать слово Аскару Айтуеву, Relations Developer of Central Asia.
Hi all, Хайрлутун, всем привет. If okay, I will briefly present in English. Thank you, Mariyam, for introduction and organizing this Women Techmakers Fest. Thank you, dear speakers, for devoting your time. We have from Japan and from other time zones, and especially I think in Japan it's like late evening, and we appreciate support a lot. We are Google developers ecosystem, and we cover this region of Turkey, Central Asia, and Mongolia. And this is our, just a second, sorry, just a second. What is that? Sorry, I'm back. And we basically provide programs for developer ecosystem, a range of programs, which is, first one is certification opportunities for machine learning, cloud, data engineering. For example, if you participate in this event, you can access now, after this day, Cloud Skill Boost, free of charge. You will be added to credit sharing group, and you can study towards certification and even have some assistance with preparing to exam for professional, for example, machine learning engineer or Tensorflow engineer, etc. Also, we have Android bootcamp ongoing. This year is free of charge, option to get certified. Next, we have a big pool of experts, Googlers and external mentors and so-called Google developer experts. We can help you to organize meetups, events, and to bring these experts either offline or online to share knowledge in a peer-to-peer environment. We stream some major events at Google Developer Central Asia channel. We have awesome organizers, mentors, and participants from all over Central Asia, Mongolia. Our community, I think there are 500,000 people. And also this year we launched Google for Startups program to help our Central Asian startups scale to international markets. It's very successful. It's had already 2 batches, and now it's going to batch number 3 in March. And I also encourage you to participate. This is our main website, and if you will have questions in future, feel free to reach out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, Mariyam, for and done. Hi, Ksenia.
Thank you, Askar, so much for this useful information. Everyone who has any questions, I want to reach out regarding questions, how to join GTG community or start the studentship GTG clubs and groups. You can reach out Askar. on LinkedIn and YouTube channels, as well on Instagram and Telegram. So like, feel free to ask any questions, and I will share his contacts also. Okay, so I guess I can proudly introduce our next speaker, Aigerim, who is joining us from Japan with her extremely high demanded topic regarding data science. So Aigerim, please, mic is yours.
Thank you, Mariyam. Thank you for having me today. First, I would like to show a few slides quickly, and then after showing the slides, I'm planning to show some live coding session related to user persona analysis in marketing. So I hope my presentation will give some glimpse to our audience on how data science is conducted in the marketing field. So yeah, let me start. Let me share my screen. Oh. Okay. Sorry. Can you see presentation? My presentation?
Not yet.
Oh, it's just a second. Since yeah, I'm not used to this system.
Don't worry, it's fine. I also had some problem.
I'm trying to get.
You try to share screen Chrome tab. Do you use Chrome?
Not really. I have local files. Hope that I can show it.
Yeah, success.
Oh, nice. Okay, so can you see the slides, right? Today I would like to talk about explainable AI in marketing, and my goal is to show how the analytics is happening. So I believe that many of you have already passed or taking a lot of various courses, but I believe that there is a gap between like educational materials, like various online courses, and what's really happening in the field. So this is today's agenda. So first of all, I will introduce who I am, and then I will show a business case, and then I will show some code. So my name is Aigerim. I'm from Kazakhstan, from Kostanay. So I have a bachelor's in petroleum engineering, and I did some masters in sustainability science. And while studying at the University of Tokyo, I got fascinated by data science, and I saw a lot of potential in utilizing machine learning algorithms to solve various problems, like in business, in like maybe even social problems. So, and 3 years I have been working in data science. So, and today I would like to show, share with you maybe a typical situation when, for example, you have some marketing team in your company and they approach you and say, hey, we would like to conduct a campaign, like maybe in next few months. And we would like to first understand our users, what kind of personas do we have? So what is the difference between the user segments or user personas? And your manager tells you, hey, could you please help this marketing team and provide some analytics to them to make data-driven decisions. So that's why I decided to show today some kind of example of analytics which is happening. So I prepared some GitHub repo with the code. So if you are interested in, you just can go and maybe clone the repo or download the Jupyter notebook and try to go along with me to code together. So yeah, let's start coding. Let me stop sharing this site. Oh. How to start sharing?
I think it's already sharing.
I want to stop sharing the presentation and okay. Oh, I removed from Studio. So yeah, let me share a tab with you. Okay, so can you see my screen right now?
We will add it. I will point and add the stream. Yeah.
Thank you. So this is the GitHub repo which I shared with you. Let's go here. So I put some documentation on that, and let's open the analysis. So I would say that this could be a first draft which you share with your team on the persona analysis. So let's imagine that you already extracted some data, profile, portfolio, and transcript CSV files, and now you're working with them. So in order to conduct this analysis, you may need to import the following packages, mostly like scikit-learn, and then various visualization packages. So you can look at the data you have. For example, profile data. Here you can see that you have some age, income, data, and then we can explore the data, look how many null numbers we have, whether we have some duplicated records or not. Then we can understand how many users we have in this sample. And then we can look at various distributions, for example, for gender, income. So here we can clearly see that the majority of users are male users. And then the second major group is female, and still we have some other records. So you can quickly just look at the income distribution, various regarding the age. So it's quite interesting that sometimes you have some dirty, messy data. In this situation, we're not sure whether our users, they are over 100 years old. Maybe some users, they didn't want to provide their real information because it's quite sensitive. So in our case, we need to do something with this data. So let's look at the records for users who are over 80 but less than 100 years old. We have less than 100 records. But maybe these users, they exist. Then let's check over 100 years old, so 118. I'm not sure whether these users, they exist. So let's look at the number of records and also the null numbers. And surprisingly, for users who are over 100 years old, gender and income information is not presented. Maybe the users didn't want to disclose that. So looking at the data, I wrote down some comments on how are we going to clean up the data and what kind of features we can create. Basically, we need to do something with the age data. We need to deal with the null values, and we may need to change the data types for one column became member on. So let's look at another data we got. So we have portfolio data. So here the data set is quite small, so we have mostly information on our offer types. What it means, what kind of campaigns have been conducted, and what is the information on the campaigns and what their IDs. So I think there is nothing much to do, just we can rename some columns for the sake of simplicity of the analysis. Then we can look at the transcript data. The transcript data contains the information on offers received and various transactions which have been conducted. So here we can see that in terms of the event, we have the majority of the transaction events and various offer-related behaviors. So so I think so far we have some understanding on the Starbucks data. And on purpose, I took not perfect data set, which we need to clean, and we need to do some feature engineering in order to come up with some insights for this data. So let's first deal with very strange age records, which are over 100 years old. I decided just to drop them because it seems that those users, they also have now income and now gender information. So maybe it's better to drop them. So after dropping this, let's change the data type for became a member on. And let's assign the format to date time. So after assigning the format, we can take a sample of the data and look what we got. So yeah, I think it didn't change much, but in terms of the feature engineering, it will help us further to create a feature. So let's move to the feature engineering part. So in terms of the feature engineering, what we can do, we can let's create a feature for days being a member. It will show whether a user is a new user or the user have been already in the system for a while. So let's create this feature by taking the last available day we have, and also calculating from the date the user became a member. So here you can see there is the distribution for days being a member. So we can see that the majority of users, which is like about 80% of the users, they have been in the system for 885 days, which is around 2.5 years. So which is quite nice. So those users, it seems that they're quite old users. So let's look at the gender information. So I decided to change the from having like this the strings format to the numerical format of the data because later on we'll fit this data frame to a machine learning model. So yeah, we can change the data type. So now for the gender, we have numbers instead of the letters. And let's check how many users we have here in this data set. So we have less than 15,000 users, so which is quite nice. So it means that we removed only 13% of the unique users. Yeah, we can check the user gender distribution. I believe it's the same. So then we can look at the income distribution for the clean data, then age distribution. Now it looks more realistic. We don't have this outlier records. So then for the simplicity of the analysis, let's maybe rename the columns and save the data. Yeah, I think it's quite maybe a nice tip to save the data after maybe major steps you do in your analysis, because sometimes it happens that you may lose something or lose some code. So yeah, it's better to save the data and then go back after some time maybe to analyze it. So let's go to the transcript data. I think it's more complicated because it kind of have JSON style records here. So let's separate the data into the transaction and offer data, which is for campaigns. So first I decided to engineer transaction features. So first we can like get some records for the transaction amount. So I just used some ways to take from the string specific like values. So by doing this, running this code, we get the transaction amount, and which has float data format. I think that's perfect. So let's go further and let's mark this data as this is transaction data. And then looking in this transaction data, actually how we analyze the data, we look at our users. So let's transform this data to the user level. In order to do that, we need to group by our data by person kind of column. So, and we get some information, the total information on all the transaction amount the user has spent and all the transactions a user has done. So I think it's quite nice. Now we have a summary on each user in terms of transactions. And here you can see what is the distribution for the transactions. So for the majority of users, they have spent less or around 170 USD, and the number of transactions for around 12. So yeah, it's quite nice to see, like, and get some understanding what's going on with the data. Let's look at the offer data. For the offer, I did quite similar operations, and I extracted the offer ID, so to know what kind of offers we have. And then maybe one of the important things to know, like once you analyze the data, what kind of joins you can do. So I applied left join to know what kind of offer types we have using offer IDs. So this is so instead of just having the code for the offer, now we have the name of the offer. BOGO stands for buy and get one. So discount, yeah, stands for discount. So now we know what kind of offer types a user had records on. So and then I think one of the maybe popular ways to transform your data and then maybe apply machine learning is to apply one-hot encoding. So here I applied one-hot encoding, and here you can see how the data frame has changed. So now we have like various events, like all the event types, and we have records whether this event was in this particular line, particular row of the data frame or not. So let's rename, and again, let's aggregate our data at the user level. And now what we can see that for each user, we have a summary on their offers. How many offers they completed, how many offers they received, how many offer types they saw. And so I think this is quite a nice summary, which can help us to understand what kind of offers the users they used historically. So in the last step, I just merge all the data I got, and I get the this summary table, which stands for each user. We have their gender, age, days being a member, and then various features such as transactions amount, transactions, offer completed, offer received, offer viewed, and so on. So basically, we have demographic data and behavioral data. In my work, quite often we combine these these features to have some understanding on our users. But in Rakuten, we have various features, and I try to show some kind of like typical maybe features we may have also. So yes. So we finished data cleaning so far, data engineering, and let's save the data, the final data set, which we will use for clustering to identify user personas, and then we will use for explainable AI algorithm to understand how the machine learning makes the decisions and to understand what is the difference between our user segments. So so this is the data set which we'll be using. I actually wanted to show you all the process of data cleaning and data processing for you to understand that maybe in the like various courses, you can see that they just simply take already prepared data set, but usually it takes some time for data scientists to clean the data, to prepare appropriate features which can be relevant for the specific analysis. So yeah, now we have this data frame, and let's do customer segmentation to understand what kind of user segments we have. In order to do that, I apply k-means clustering, but for anyone who wants to apply k-means clustering, first you need to normalize the data or scale the data, because k-means clustering doesn't work well when your data is not normalized. So I applied, in this case, min-max scaler, which like changes the scale of our data to 0 to 1. So, for example, instead of having age from, let's say, 0 to 100 years old, we have like this value 0.45, and so on for each feature. So here you can see that the maximum value is 1 and the minimum value is 0. Yeah. So then, in order to apply k-means clustering, you need to know how many user groups or user clusters do you have. In order to do that, you may apply elbow method or silhouette coefficient. In this case, I decided to apply silhouette coefficient, which is the average of the distance between a point and its closest cluster. A is the average distance among the data points within the same cluster. So basically, higher the silhouette score, better is the number of clusters to use. So here we can see two quite close values for 2 and 3 clusters. But for the sake of simplicity, I decided to take 2 clusters. But in maybe real work, if it would be the problem at work, I would take 3 clusters. And it's quite common that we separate our users into 3 or 4 clusters, and because it's easier for a human mind, at least, to process the data. So let's build k-means clustering. I think k-means clustering is one of the top popular clustering algorithms. Basically, it tries to find cluster centers that representative of a certain regions of the data, and then it shows whether a data point belongs to a specific cluster or not. So, and it has basically 2 steps in the algorithm. It assigns each data point to the cluster closest cluster center, and then it sets each cluster center as the mean of the data points that are assigning to it. So yeah, to run k-means clustering, you just need to create the instance, and then you run the model. We specify number of clusters to maximum iterations. You can I think for the default feature it's about 200, so I decided to take more, and we put the data frame which we had, which we scaled before, and we got the labels for our clusters. And here you can see that let's add those cluster labels to our data frame, and we get that we have almost evenly distributed clusters, the number of clusters, which is quite good. It means that the algorithm works quite well. So and then I think the most important part of this analysis, let's find the difference between the users. In order to do that, I applied random forest classifier. Overall, I'm a big fan of random forest. I think it's one of the most rigorous and easy to use algorithms, and still it provides quite accurate accurate results. So basically, random forest is a collection of decision trees which are slightly different from each other, but because you have a lot of those decision trees, you remove the overfitting of the model. So yeah, let's apply random forest. First, we need to split our data set into train and test data sets for the features and for the values which we have, like whether a user belongs to cluster 0 or cluster 1. So here we split it, and then let's run the random forest. So here, we got quite high accuracy for training and for the test sets, which is quite good. And let's look at the confusion matrix. I put some explanation on the confusion matrix if you would like to understand more about that. So basically, you can see how many true positive, how many false negative, and how many false positive and true negative values you have based on the how many values they predicted and what is the actual data set. Basically, it's comparison the predicted records with the actual values you have in the data set. So then I look at some parameters like precision, metric. Precision attempts to answer the following question: what is the proportion of positive values which were actually correct? So precision is quite high. So, and recall also is quite high. But in our work, I think we mostly pay attention to AUC value, which is based on receiver operating characteristic curve. So this is the ROC curve, and this is the area. We calculate the area under the this curve, which is AUC. Basically, this red line shows how would your prediction look like if you just randomly assign the labels. But the blue line shows how your algorithm, how accurately your algorithm assigns the labels, and what is the relation between true positive rate and false positive rate. Yeah, I hope this kind of this explanation will give you a glimpse on this metrics which I used to understand whether our algorithm provides accurate or like reliable results or not. So as the next step, let's go to the explainable AI. I think explainable AI is quite a huge topic in the machine learning industry, and it has it basically it's used to understand how machine learning algorithms they make decisions. And for me, a person who works in consulting, I think these algorithms they're quite handy because you can understand how your algorithm makes a decision. Because usually such algorithms like random forest, they don't show you how did they make a decision. But by applying this algorithm, by applying SHAP, by looking at the SHAP values, we can understand how the decision, how basically the decision was made by random forest. So here I provided some like definitions for the SHAP values, and the goal of the SHAP values is to explain the prediction of an instant X by computing the contribution of each feature to the prediction. So this is SHAP plot, which shows like how features they contribute to the positive or negative SHAP values. Positive SHAP values they show what is the kind of probability for a user to be in a positive class. In our case, we just show positive class is the group number 1 of the users, and group number 0 or cluster number 0 is the negative class in this case. So and then let's build this feature importance. Basically, these features they show how much they contribute to the explainability. For example, if we go up to these features from offers completed, gender, income, transactions amount, offers reviewed, days being member, and offer time discount count. So we can see that if we have only these features in the model, they can contribute by about 90% to the model's explainability. So having only these 6 features, we can predict accurately whether a user belongs to group 1 or group 2. So, and let's look at these features more closely. So for that, I built dependence plots to see how the values of these features, they will affect to the sharp values. So it means, for example, here we can see that positive sharp values, they start from record number 3. So if a user completed 3 records, it means that the user belongs to the group number 1 or positive user, positive group. But if the user has less than 3 offers completed, it means that the user belongs to the cluster 0 or the negative class in this model. So actually, basically, just comparing these two groups, we can get a lot of insight in terms of the gender. For example, our positive class or cluster 1 is probably female users. We made some encoding by one stands for female. So, but the group number 2 or like cluster 0 has records for mostly male and other users. So I think it's quite interesting that we, using these insights from Explainable AI, we can understand what kind of users and what kind of user behavior we can expect in each cluster. So here, days being a member, also interesting that if a user, they stay quite long term, over, let's say, 400, maybe 80 days, the users, they tend to be in the positive class, which means cluster 1. So, and then looking at these charts, I created some explanation for each cluster. And I think the most interesting was that in terms of the income, the cluster 1 will have people with over 75,000 USD yearly income, and those users from cluster 1, they tend to be long-term users, and they tend to be, I think, over, let's say, 50 years old to be in that group, and also they are quite long-term users, and because they have been using the app for 1.6 years. So I think this kind of way helps us to understand what kind of users we have. So, and then one of the additional ways to look at the data, we can look at the correlation coefficient. So in this case, I use Fairman correlation to look at the kind of feature trends, how are they correlated between each others. And I built this heat map. And for me, I think, let's say, transaction amount and maybe offers completed is quite logical that those two features, they are correlated between each other, because if a user spent more, it means maybe the user completed more offers. So yeah, this is the way also to look at the features, all the features, and maybe find some relationships between the features, maybe sometimes non-trivial relationships. In this case, I just decided to look at the offers completed and the transaction amount, and also offers completed and transactions. And as you can see here, I also try to look at the p-values, which show whether the insights, they are statistically significant or not. So yeah, basically I showed you all the analysis, and here I wrote some summary, which probably you as a data scientist may show to your team members and say, hey, based on the features I created, data analysis, I can say that here we have 2 or 3 clusters of users, but depending maybe on the marketing team's ideas, you may adjust this number of clusters. And then so far you can see that based on the data you have analyzed, you can say that you have 2 user personas. The first user persona is female long-term customers with a yearly income of over 75,000 USD and who have done transactions over 150 USD, and those users, they are over 45 years old. And the second group is like, I think, quite totally opposite, is a male group or other gender users who have income less than 75,000 USD, and their transactions are less than 150 USD, and those users, they are quite younger than the first user group. So by looking at these insights, we actually can tailor-made campaigns. And also in my practice at work, by looking at this kind of specific groups of users, we can understand what kind of people we can target, what kind of people they belong to this group. And by understanding these user personas, we can also expand the user clusters. I think that's everything from my side. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
While the questions prepared in chat, thank you for this detailed notebook. Website is like a proper tutorial. We were discussing with some mostly young people who want to get into data science, data analytics field, and because you are already established professional, at least in Central Asia, in Kazakhstan, there is people worry that a lot of data science, data analysts on the market, junior data analysts, but employment opportunities is already not much because all people just go take Coursera course and study to become data analysts, and then for them it's difficult to find job in Kazakhstan. Maybe because you already have some international experience, could you give some advices how they could? Is it possible while studying in Kazakhstan to get the first or second job abroad? If yes, what would be your advice?
That's a good question. Yeah. Based on my experience, I think actually my first job I got in a startup. So, and I got it through networking. And I was just like, I took a few courses and I even didn't know how to run SQL. So I came to my first day to the company, and then they asked me, "Hey, could you extract the data and like, could you please write some SQL queries?" And I asked, "What does it mean SQL?" So that was my level of preparation. You know, when I got my first job in a startup, but I was like learning all the time, like the first year, to try to catch up. So I think even if you maybe don't know enough, so you can always like do your best and study in free time from work, and that's, I think, the way to stand out. And also how to, so okay, back to your question, how to get a job. So maybe first it would be nice to have some networking, to have some people working there. Maybe someone can give you a referral, or maybe invite you to some open source project. I think that would be nice. Also, it's quite nice if you have some maybe GitHub repo with some commits, some interesting projects. Maybe you participate in some open source projects, or you participate in some hackathons. I saw Sakura, she just joined it, so we participated in 2020 in one hackathon together. So, and after that, I got some like job opportunities, but I didn't kind of agree on them. So I think it helps to like improve your networking and get some opportunities. And also maybe having blog posts on data science, because you're if a person just starting doing data science, I think they are blessed by being newcomers. So I think it's quite nice, and you need to appreciate this moment. And while you're learning something, you can share with the audience, with your audience. And personally, I got a lot of opportunities, like to pass some interviews for other companies. If you just have like a few interesting blog posts, and people can reach you out and say, "Hey, could you please like help us, our company, or help our startup with this problem?" So yeah, just don't hesitate to share anything you know, and maybe do some networking. And I think by looking at your work, people can understand that you can be a great asset to their team. Did I answer to your question?
Yeah, it's a great answer. Thank you very much for this. I think it's a lot of insights for viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, Aigerim, for a detailed presentation. Extremely interesting, and like I'm not data scientist, but I get some useful information. It was very convenient to get into the topic. So thank you. The next topic is very convenient for those who are aiming to get fully funded uh, internship chances to get to the US and Silicon Valley to get new opportunities. So next, our speaker is Zharkyn Chsheglova, Women Techmakers Ambassador in Kazakhstan and Techwomen alumni, project from the US government, I guess, right? So Zharkyn, please, mic is yours. If you have any questions, please leave the comment and we will answer after the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me share my screen first.
It takes few moments. Yeah, we will share it here.
So can you see my presentation?
Yes, I'm waiting to share it now here.
So is it okay? Can you see it?
Yeah,
Yes,
fine.
yes, we
Okay,
see it.
thank you. So, hello everyone, and thank you for giving me opportunity to talk about this great program. And I want to start my presentation with one question. Do you know who survived in the concentration camp? The first to die were those who believed that everything will end on a certain date. And the date that they were expecting came and nothing happened, so they died. Then those who did not believe that it would ever end. Those people who survived the concentration camps were the ones who found the strongest will to live by finding meaning. Viktor Frankl, he is an Austrian psychiatrist, was a man who lived through this experience and he survived. The reason why he was able to do that was because he found meaning in his experience and the sense of purpose that willed him to survive. And he called it will to meaning. So sometimes we are lost in our day-to-day life and need some kind of reboot that will change and widen our views and also strengthen self-confidence. So these are just some outcomes of the programs that I want to talk about today. So my name is Zharkyn, and I want to share my experience in Techwomen program. Techwomen is an annual 5 weeks program that brings emerging women leaders in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics together in the United States for a professional mentorship and exchange. It takes place in San Francisco Bay Area and Chicago starting from next year. So next year applicants are happy. they will have one more city. All participants also spend 1 week in Washington, D.C. Tech Women is an initiative of the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, and is managed by the Institute of International Education. And the goal is to empower and connect women leaders in STEM. And by the way, it is not only for IT specialists. This year, there were 104 girls and women from 21 countries. And we had girls who work with renewable energy technologies, biomedical engineering. We had civil engineers, medical technicians, geologists. So the range is everything about STEM. It is not only for IT people. And each participant will be assigned to one of leading tech companies and paired with the professional mentor. So if talking about host companies, they are Google, Microsoft, Meta, LinkedIn, VMware, Adobe, Salesforce, Juniper, Synopsys, Symantec, and many more. So some of us had two professional mentors, some of us had online mentorship, but there were some girls, at least who I know, they went to the office every day. They had meetings with their teams and they got everyday tasks to complete. So it was a real job and they could get more experience. From our Kazakhstani team, there was a girl who had, she works as a data scientist and she had access to their data. So they allowed to get her access, and she was completing some tasks every day. And of course, we had an opportunity to visit each other's host companies. And this internship is project-based, which means every emerging leader had a small project to complete. So every participant is called emerging leader. And we also had workshops and networking events. We had workshops on leadership, team building, and finding strength of each member, stakeholders, identification. So these are just what I can recall right now. Soft skills were upgraded significantly, and they were useful for preparing a social impact project. The thing is that each country team needs to find a solution for a problem in their country and pitch that project in front of a jury, and winners get seed grants to implement their project after they return home. And of course, we had impact coaches who helped us to develop a solution and create our pitch deck. And sometimes we think that mentors are people who will tell us what to do, what solution should be there, something like this. But the mentorship is about guiding us. It is about asking the right questions. So they're just like facilitators who ask you some questions or give some hints and lead to the thought that is really needed there. So, and each emerging leader was also paired with a cultural mentor. Cultural mentors facilitate activities to learn more about the Bay Area and culture. But cultural events, it is not only going to forest or to see the ocean, something like this. Cultural events also included visiting other companies and universities. For example, we visited Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. As you know, it has the most number of Nobel Prize winners. And those who were not assigned to Google for a mentorship, they had an opportunity to visit Google's office thanks to cultural mentors again. And well, I had some like special requests and I addressed it to our cultural mentors and they used their network to help me with that. So, and people who hosted us, welcomed us, and who had meetings with us, they were top management of that companies. They were vice president, vice chairman. So we could get knowledge about culture from many companies. And of course, we had some entertaining activities like going to the cinema, museums, theaters. And we really had a lot of cultural events, and sometimes we had to choose whether to go here or there, and which activities to skip. And the size of the slide is too small to list all the events and activities and put all photos here, but believe me, there were a lot. And we also arranged some activities and meetings by ourselves. We went to Intel Hackathon, for example. We visited Plug and Play to learn about startups that they invested in and listened for pitches. And that was a great experience. So now I know how the pitching is done at Plug and Play. And that is a really valuable knowledge. And our program ended at Washington, D.C. And we had an honor to have a luncheon at U.S. Department of State and listen to a speech of U.S. Secretary Antony Blinken there. And he announced that Techwomen is expanding its geography to Albania and Montenegro, and includes mentorship opportunities based in Chicago. So this is for the next year. And as for the main question, who pays for all of this? So the program actually covers round-trip flights, domestic flights from San Francisco or Chicago to Washington, D.C., accommodation, meals, SIM card with internet package, hotel in Washington, D.C., and transport within the city. And as for, this is like a part about money, but there is one more part of this program. It is about feeling care about yourself from your mentors, from people who are working in this program, from the Techwomen team. So it was like, even that kind of issues like put more layers on you because it is cold outside, or if you need some help, these are emergency phone numbers, these kind of things. So we never felt us like lost, or like we had a lot of attention and a lot of care, and we knew that we can ask everyone from the team and we will get answer or help. So the program brings a lot of mind-changing things also. Like you can see your life from other point, and you can see your projects from other point. And as you know, nobody comes back from the journey as he or she was before. So this is all changes. This is a really life-changing experience, I think. And if you want to participate in this program, you have less than 1 month left to apply. And there are some criteria to participate in this program. So first of all, you need to be a woman. Applicants must have at least 2 years of professional STEM experience, and please pay attention that internships and other unpaid work experience do not count as professional experience. So applicants also need to have a bachelor's degree at least, or 4-year university degree or equivalent of it. Of course, you need to be fluent in written and spoken English, and be citizens and permanent resident of participating country. So there were 21 countries this year, and it will be 23 next year. Also, you need to be eligible for J1 exchange visitor visa, and applicants must not have applied for a United States immigrant visa in the past 5 years. And of course, they cannot have US citizenship, and they cannot be some resident of the US. And preference are usually given to applicants who demonstrated themselves as leaders in their chosen professional track through their work experience, volunteer experience, some community activities maybe. Another preferable point is to be committed to return to the home country to share experience, what they have learned there, and to be mentor to women and girls. One more thing, it is applicants must not have any work experience or have limited work experience in the United States. And the next point is, as for me, it is the most difficult point about having some volunteering experience. But if a lot of people ask me like, okay, I do not have any volunteering experience, what can I do? So actually we do have it. When you make some internal trainings in your company, for example, for those who are not good with computers, technologies, or maybe you give some lectures for children, sometimes we forget about it, but this is the volunteering experience actually. And one more thing to keep in mind, applicants have to demonstrate their commitment to innovation and entrepreneurship. So these are the main points. And just a small spoiler, you will need to write 8 essays. You will have 8 questions, and you will need to write small essays on for each of those questions. And as I mentioned before, applications for the fall 2023 Techwomen program will close on January 13. It is Friday. And applicants will be notified on the status of their entry in April, like they became semi-finalists or they did not pass the next step. And then semi-finalists will be contacted for an in-country interview in April. So, and final decision will be made by the May of the next year. But all applicants will be notified about the outcome of their applications. So if you want to apply, you have less than 1 month. And by the way, I forgot to mention one more thing. You need to have a passport, of course, to travel. And as I told before, it is a truly life-changing experience. When you meet a lot of people, you learn what the Silicon Valley is doing, how the technology is developing, where is the lack of the professionals, for example. You can see some new projects, and you can see another culture. In Kazakhstan, the startup culture is just developing. It is very, very young, like a baby, but the startup culture in Silicon Valley is a different track, and you can learn from there. Of course, it gives you more than 100 friends in 21 countries, and you will get a great network, and you can make some projects with participants from other countries. And you return inspired. You return with new ideas. And if there is a life-changing experience that allows you to find the meaning that saves lives and expands the boundaries of your thinking, then it is definitely participation in Techwomen. All participants talk about this program as for Kazakhstani team, we had some online broadcastings in Russian, Kazakh, and we want to share this information. And we encourage every girl, every woman to apply for this program. Like Henry Ford said, if you try to do it, you will have two results. If you will not try, then you will not succeed. So I encourage everyone who is watching right now and who will watch the recording later, be brave, believe in yourself, and apply for this program, because this is experience worth to try. And if you have any questions, you can contact me in LinkedIn. I will answer all your questions. I will help you with your application if it is needed. And welcome with your questions. And that's all for now. Actually, I can talk about this program for
Thank you.
hours, but the time is limited.
Yeah, I feel how delighted you are talking about this experience. Yeah. We have one question from Bota. She's asking about, is it mandatory to have volunteering experience in tech or related to IT?
Well, if you are in some community which is not about IT, of course, you can indicate it. If you are a teacher of chemistry, you cannot give any volunteering experience in IT. You are giving the experience that you have in your track. And as for the link, yes, I can see this question. Will it be possible to put the link in comments after the conference? I can share it there.
Sure. Yeah, we can share it.
Okay.
Regarding the question to Bota, this program is generally field in math as well. So I guess you can add any volunteering experience, just showing your dedication to help to any field to develop, whether it's journalism, etc. Just showing that you're dedicated to help and that you're dedicated to make an impact whenever it paid or not. So just feel free, I guess. And please do not hesitate to apply, as Zharkyn said. We're encouraging everyone. And we had meeting with judges who were electing applicants. They always said people who are cool enough to apply always hesitate to apply because they're not confident in themselves. But their experience is just wholesome. So please keep in mind and never hesitate yourself to apply.
Can I add just one more thing, please? That Mariyam, you
of course,
reminded
we
me.
have enough time.
This program is for girls and women. And of course, we met a lot of successful women there working in STEM. And the idea that they were saying is like, if there is some requirements for job, for example, a female will look at it and she is 110% fits. She will be thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not confident enough, oh, maybe I'm not good enough at this one. And they are not applying and they are not acting, they are not doing anything because they are always, they are not confident enough. And as for males, they just look at that list and they fit only 20% of it and they say, I am the best fit there. I'm going there, even if it is not true. So I encourage everyone just to try. You never know the result, but if you try, you will know it.
I have a question to Zharkyn.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much for your amazing presentation. I really got inspired. I didn't know about this opportunity. So personally, I would like to apply, but I still have some questions. So I think I missed this point for how long this program is going to be, because you need to travel to the US, right? So once someone passes the screening, so how long the program does it take time?
Oh, okay. The timeline is like you get the result in May, then you will have some time before September, and you will spend your time like working on some surveys. You will get emails. Please send us this one. Send us vaccination card. Send us passport scan. Send us this. Fill this survey, and then you agree with the organizers about date and the airport that you are departing, and date and the airport that you are departing from the US and coming to Kazakhstan. So this all takes, the program is 5 weeks. As for our experience, we arrived on September 20, and September 21, we had the first workshop, kind of workshop.
I see. You said 5 weeks.
Yes, you will have 4 weeks in the Silicon Valley or in Chicago, and 1 week in Washington, D.C.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious because they require some experience. But for example, if you are working, and for example, in Japan, we have only 10 vacation days per year. So it would be really like interesting how like people who are working like in a company, they can dedicate like 5 weeks of their time. But yeah, I was wondering.
Yes, that is a tough choice, really. As for me, I made a decision for me. I'm going to my manager and I'm saying like I need this time. I have some vacation days. I'm taking them, but I need more. If he says no, I'm not giving you those days, then I said I would say okay, then I'm leaving the company. That was my decision. So you always have choice.
So
Yeah,
brave.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Another
Everything
maybe
on us.
the last maybe question from my side is like, can ladies from abroad, like for example, I'm a Kazakhstani citizen, I have a Kazakhstani passport. Can I still apply to this program? Because I've been like living 5 years in Japan. And
One of the requirements is to be a citizen and permanent resident of the country.
oh no, okay.
Maybe something will change. I don't know. Just keep an eye on the requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zharkyn. So anyone who is interested to applying the Techwomen program, please feel free to connect to Zharkyn on LinkedIn, or just you can find her everywhere, and feel free. She will support everyone who's aiming to apply. Okay. We're having our next speaker, Dara. Hi, Dara.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, we're going by our time schedule, so I think we can start your presentation now if you're ready.
I think I might need a little bit more time.
Okay.
So maybe we can have a short break and then come back.
And one more thing that I forgot to mention. Sorry. After you complete this program,
you have a lot of time there.
After you complete Techwomen program, of course, you will get a certificate of completion, and you will become a member of a alumni community. This is not only Techwomen, it is not alumnus of Techwomen program. It is about all exchange programs. And another opportunity is you can get some grants, some funding for your projects. So participating in one program gives you more opportunities. It is like you open one door and it opens hundreds of doors.
Nice. Okay, I just checked the website for women Techmakers, and I found some information about ambassadors and members. Maybe could you please tell us what is the difference, and like, can ladies in STEM can they apply to this like to become a member? Yeah,
Is
that's
this
a
question
question
to
to
me?
Zharkyn. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a question to Zharkyn.
These Techwomen and Women Techmakers, of course, these are two different programs. Techwomen is about bringing emerging leaders in STEM to United States, and it is like a mentorship. So you are upgrading your skills. You are getting some network, you are getting new knowledge, new experience. And Women Techmakers, it is more voluntary, and you are sharing your experience that you have with other girls, women, boys, men, whoever. You are becoming like mentor, or you are making some events, for example. It is also about supporting women. It is also about encouraging girls and women to go into IT. And Tech Women, it is more about STEM. It includes science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So we had previous cohorts had a girl who is employee of a bank. Actually, she does not fit STEM, but she could participate in that program because she had some innovative idea about some processes in her bank. When you are women tech makers, you are encouraging also other girls. Of course, you get access to resources of Google, to some workshops, seminars, courses, but it is more like, I would say, it is about self-education and sharing it. And Tech Women is another program when US department takes you to the United States, teaches you, if I can say so, and brings you home. So this is the difference.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zharkyn. Yes, regarding other programs of the US Dev, for example, they have a huge range of fully funded programs for girls in tech. It calls Tech Girls, yes, and other opportunities for the US funded programs, internship who will go to the US opens opportunities to get another fundings to launch your own social projects, for example. And for example, now all the applications for university partnership programs, Tech Women, Tech Girls applications are open. So yeah, all the information is usually posted on the U.S. Embassy and U.S. Consulate websites. So feel free. And non-alumni it's National Alumni Network is a great community with very cool and experienced people who are open to make any social projects and communicate, collaborate, make an impact. So I can share the link for the websites and all programs on the comment after the stream as well. So we're waiting for our next topic about TensorFlow with Dara. Dara Tumenbayeva has an experience as an XSoftware Engineer at Amazon. He will talk about TensorFlow model to differentiate Kazakh jewelries from others. Very interesting. I'm very excited to listen to the presentation.
Okay, let's give it a go. Hi, everyone. My name is Dara. I am an ex. Okay, I don't really like talking about exes because they're exes for a reason. But gotta call it somehow. So overall, thanks a lot for this opportunity, and I'm really excited to share more about the TensorFlow and everything. So I will start with a quick presentation, which will just introduce myself a little bit, and then what do I do, and from there we can move on to a little bit of an explanation that I think will be useful for many of you to basically learn more about AI world, and not only artificial intelligence on its own, but also about data science, data engineering, and all of that. So without further ado, I'm just going to share screen. Okay. You guys can see my screen?
Yes, we will show it here after it will appear on our admin panel.
Cool. So this is a quick intro. I am currently a CEO at Specials and Outdoor School, but overall the company's name is called Central Asian Adventures, which I'm probably going to rename. So Specials is a dating app, and Outdoor School is a school for IT magical school that I'm now managing. And in my past, as you could probably saw from my bio, I was a software engineer at Amazon, and I also been working as a software engineer and data scientist at Asia. So as a data science, I've worked for like a year, and as a software engineer for another year in Asia, and then as a software engineer at Amazon for another year. Specializations a little bit on Flutter, Firebase, ML. That's the things that I'm mostly interested about. And when it comes to tech, age 27 years old, pretty old. I'm just kidding. Experience 4 years. Let's go statistics. I think the link is missing, but okay, never mind. So let's move on to the next one. This is basically for you guys to learn more. It's not necessarily active right now. It was pretty active before, but I'm gonna reignite this the kind of share of it, because most of the cool things were born during those hackathons, and that's something that I truly love and I am mostly passionate about. So I've created this group called Hackathon the Star. It's a community based, and it's kind of a replication of something that I've had in Malaysia, which is called Hackathon Kaki. Kaki in Malay means friend, so it's called Hackathon the Star for a reason. And in there we are sharing all of the hackathons, all of the upcoming ones. So I'm currently looking for someone who can actually manage this. So let me know if you wish to be part of it. But the picture on its own is basically showing what kind of things you can actually win. And the funny part is about this picture is that the first win was less than the third win in terms of money. So that's something that's interesting. Then, as many of you probably know, I just recently become an ambassador for Women Techmakers. This is an Instagram page that was managed prior to me becoming, because at Amazon I couldn't really be a woman tech maker, especially in Kazakhstan, since I was in Madrid. But now that I am in Kazakhstan, I could manage it. And if you are interested, you can just follow the URL with a QR code and then join. So a little bit of background. Again, this is just a simple picture of showing how did I end up where I ended up. It all started out with a girl who liked money, who chose money, $1 at her 1 year old, and then she basically moved to physics and math school, found her place there, found her passion there, and then studied at APU, which is Asia Pacific University in Malaysia. And I was really interested in all of the hardware stuff back then, robotics and all that. So if you're interested in it, let me know. I'm also all into it. And then I worked at the freelance jobs. Most of them, by the way, I got from hackathons. So that's why I love them so much. And I also then worked at Asia, as I already said, then Amazon, and then Central Asian Adventures. So this is basically the app that I'm building. And for you guys who are interested, it is a dating app. And I do have some machine learning cool stuff going on there. So that will be basically for an ML that will find a greater match for you. So if you're interested to be a beta tester, you can just scan the QR code and join a beta testing group. The launch date hopefully will be coming on 14th of February. And that is something that I'm really excited about because it's addressing my issue with dating, which is non-efficient, which is not secure, and psychologically speaking, it's really hard to find a place where people are aware of their feelings and emotions. So that will be the place for you. If you're interested, just join. Then there is a school. So again, lots of QR codes, I know, but like I do a lot of things. So this is a school. And the funny part is about it is that I joined Harry Potter scene with this. And in terms of Ravenclaw, again, we are going to be having AI ML bootcamps as well. So just scan the QR code and join us in this interesting journey. So currently we launched a pre-registration for our bootcamp on algorithmic data structure. So if you've been wondering what it is, how it works, join. Then I'm also doing a CRM system for a medical center that my mom owns. And then we're planning to just sell it to other medical centers as well, probably some other clinics aside from medical centers. So in there, we use React, we use Firebase, favorite Firebase, and that's an interesting project as well to manage. So before we begin, I would like to establish a few things that I usually talk about everywhere. So if you've been following me, you were kind of tired of hearing these three things all the time, but those are my three key words whenever I do something. So I approach things with love, respect, and trust. Therefore, I would expect the same thing from you. So that's something that I'm looking forward to too. So the goal of this talk is basically for you guys to understand more or less machine learning, what it is, what is AI, what is ML, and then some implications of data science and data engineering. And then, sorry, I didn't translate the last one, but that's basically having fun. So overall, what basically data science, data engineering, data analyst, and data communication comes in. And in between the next graph, we'll be showing how AI fits here. So for many of you who might not know what AI is all about, it is a kind of a big topic because there are like speculations, contradictions, all coming all over the places because of how dangerous and also at the same time exciting that world is. And in my opinion, that's something that will be hardly automated in the future. So if you're interested in IT and you're scared of an AI writing code for you, I'll probably suggest you to go for AI stuff because that's something that will be hardly automated because that's where the automation is written. So if many of you wondering where should I go so that my job will not be replaced, I guess AI will be a good way to go. Not necessarily saying that it won't be replaced, but at least for some time in the future, it wouldn't be. And in it, there are pretty number of things that many people don't necessarily understand and consider. So this graph basically shows what kind of like inner intersections, inner connections each and every field does in this area. And I think for example, for a data scientist, which was my role back in Malaysia, was to basically 90% of the time clean the damn data. And then only 10% of it was spent on machine learning, training the models and everything. So I guess when it comes to data scientists and data engineers and data analysts, for many of you, you have to understand that if you are interested more in talking with people, interacting with people, presenting some, I don't know, graphs, interesting insights of the data. So data analyst, I guess it's something that will be fit for you. But when it comes to like business analyst, I think it's kind of similar differently, but still similar because of how many times you have to present to people and how from the scratch you're touching the data but not necessarily going deep into it. So data engineers, for example, in this case, are the ones who are engineering it, and there is a bit of software engineering work done there, because you have to basically know how to write code efficiently so that it will load data faster. And data scientists usually work closely with data engineers because they spend lots of time loading data. For example, in my experience, there was a time when I was loading the data for like 1 or 2 days because of how big it was, and it was like millions of data. So for data engineers, what they did is that they went in and they optimized it so that instead of a day spent, it would only take for like 1 or 2 hours to load the data. So that's the kind of magic happening for data engineers. Again, for example, for data analysts, you gotta know all of the subjects. I'm not gonna go too much deep into it, but this is a graph for you just to understand how it works. And the next one is basically what we will be talking about today, is about AI, machine learning, and TensorFlow in general. So I think for many of you who had been wondering about what AI is all about, it's kind of a heart of everything. So when it comes to actual AI, it's not being developed yet, as in the one that will beat the Turing test. Again, for those of you who don't know, Turing test is designed by our god Turing, who had basically come up with some sort of a test for AI to pass in order to say, this is AI, this is real AI, and now we're all screwed up, or now we are having some fun with an actual thinking machines. Most of the time, what you see is ML, not AI. Because machine learning, what's the key difference is that machine learning will only do one thing good, really good, but only one thing. If you were to, for example, train a model, example with our model right now is that if I were to say identify, I don't know, dress instead of jewelry, it will not be able to differentiate that. It will only be specifically trained to just identify jewelries, and therefore it will not be able to work with anything else aside from that. Whereas AI will be able to work with it, not necessarily making the right choices straight away, but the key idea is that it will be able to learn the same way that humans do from the mistakes and then making the right decisions. And then on top of that, we can see data science, data engineer. Then on top of that, there's also data analyst, business analyst, and all that follows. But for me personally, I'm a really deep into the core person, which likes to just go really deep into the topic. Therefore, for me, AI and ML data science was something that I was mostly interested in. And for you guys in the future, so if you want to work with something AI related, TensorFlow, Keras models, and like what else is there? TensorFlow, Keras. There are other platforms as well that you can use to basically work with AI and machine learning, but we'll not be covering it here. I think it was kind of covered before for like some of the ML models. I joined in the middle of it, so yeah, that's something that for you guys to consider. And the book that I recommend all the time for people who are not familiar with the topic or would like to learn more about AI nowadays, I think it's a little bit outdated already, considering all the updates that are coming in, especially the one that writes code for you. But still, it is basically a good read for you guys. And overall, I think for AI people who really want to go deep into the topic is for you, you have to understand and analyze data. You have to have a strong math. And if at school you like math, I think AI is kind of a great fit for you. And most often than not, you kind of require a master's and PhD in AI. And that's the only thing in IT personally that I would recommend going for master's or PhD, because to be honest, even bachelor's, I don't think it's really needed. The only part that is needed is only for the kind of visa process. Personally, for me, that's the only place where my degree kind of played role. But other than that, when I went through all of these interview processes, the only thing they cared about are my skills and not my degree. So when it comes to AI, you need to have that master's or PhD in AI, because it's a huge topic. It's a research heavy topic. And therefore, if you really want to contribute and actually build something within the field and I don't know, be known for it. For example, I personally wish to beat AI Turing test, so I'm considering to take something similar, not necessarily a master's, but like a elective or something. So for you guys to basically consider it as your career path, you really have to consider more of a research-based career. In this book, for you guys to understand this guy, Guy Fully, amazing guy, he basically describes how AI is empowering people nowadays. And at the end of the day, he was more positive, not like Elon Musk or Hawking, who were like super skeptical about AI overall. But he was like saying that humans are still humans, and humans can do humans' job, and robots will do robots' job. Agree to disagree. I don't think that AI can't do humans' job, but overall, the implication of AI basically helping us to automate many processes in our daily life so that we can spend more time with our loved ones instead of, working nonstop. And that kind of culture is going behind us because we do realize what's burnout. We do realize how much it affects us, and we are more aware about our mental health. Therefore, there is even this system, I think it's described here as well, that we will live in a world where AI will just be our supplement, where basically we wouldn't have to do many of the automated jobs that we're doing right now. Instead, we will focus on something bigger than that. And aside from just spending the time on it, we will just spend the time with our loved ones to still remain as humans. Another thing about this is, like, for example, for me personally, the way I'm currently using AI in my life as well is I am building my personal assistant, which I hope I will be able to publish one day, because I've been trying to hire someone to be my assistant for a while, but that was just not feasible, not workable. That person will just leave in a few months' time. And as a founder, as many like of my founder friends as well, they are usually caught up in doing some tedious, not necessarily interesting, but important tasks, instead of actually spending on maximizing their impact and everything. So that AI will hopefully contribute to their lives as well one day. And therefore, I wish to build that assistant as well. So that will basically explains, I think, overall the kind of introductory. And in today's kind of lecture or something, I see a recursion. So I will basically go through a model that is there for you as a tutorial, and I'll show you how it works as in TensorFlow and how can you interact with it. So there is this website, Colab, which is, I think it's new. I haven't seen that before, relatively, because I've been using just Jupyter notebooks, and at work we've been using this tool called Databricks to load data, to work with it and stuff. So for those of you who are interested in TensorFlow, so you can start from here. And first thing first, we just differentiate our import libraries, and then we will see what's inside of our data set. And this one is already pre-built. It has a data set for you guys to explore. This is basically flower fonts, which we were top finalists. It was, I think, NASA hackathon. And in there, we built this application which differentiates flowers. But then Google I came out, and our idea went to just trash. So we wanted to publish it. We wanted to kind of work with it. But then Google came up with it, and we're like, okay, whatever, done. We won't compete with Google. So this is basically kind of the directory that we are declaring, and we can see there is lots of data. For example, in case of the one that I'm going to show you next is Kazakh jewelries, there is not enough data to load and to train. Unfortunately, the results were not necessarily as good because we need more data. I tried to get as many data for you guys because my friend works with Kazakh jewelries, but she wasn't responding. So no choice but to work with what we got. Then what we do is we basically just print the images number, and just to visualize things like roses. Right here you can see roses, and here you can see roses as well. Then we have tulips. Then we have another image of tulips. So what we are doing here is basically training our data set to have like 367 files to be trained. And for you guys to understand how this kind of a training thing works, it's pretty, I would say, straightforward. And the only issue you guys might be having is just the syntax, the understanding of the code. But the idea of it is pretty simple. You just have your data set ready. You just give it to an ML model that is already there for you, and you train it to recognize the patterns. So TensorFlow is a great tool because it already has insidely built models that will basically train so that it will recognize all the patterns on the images and then come back with a result to you. So the next time you give a random image to that model, it will tell you whether it sees something that you trained it with or not. So for example, here we're training it with all the images for the flowers, and in order for it to recognize, we are giving some set of training and then some set of validation. So the idea for you is to split those and basically give this chunk to training, and then this chunk will be to test. You cannot use the same data set for training and testing. This is like, no. The main reason is because it will not validate it correctly, and straight away speaking, if it's been trained based on that, it will just give you 100% accuracy, which is overfitting already, which is not necessarily a good thing. So we are splitting the data sets here, and we are seeing that we have our class names here, which is daisy, dandelion, roses, sunflowers, and tulips. And basically here we can see there is a bit of already kind of image classification of each one. And this is a way for us to visualize the data. And this is something interesting because with text, it's kind of similar, but just text. With images, it's similar process, just with images. And the models are also different. So the logic behind is the same. It's just that the tools you use are different. Then you are basically having this what was the name of it? Keras model, where you basically just print all the shapes of your data set, and then you are configuring your data set for the performance you want to have, and then you are standardizing your data so that it will basically normalize it so that it won't have all of this unnecessary noise out there. And this is basically a basic Keras model. You can actually go beyond that. But in here, we're using convolutional 2D neural networks. And again, I think for you guys to understand what is convolutional neural networks is you can imagine kind of dots here, and then you are training your model so that it will go through each and every dot and come back with you with a result. It will go back and forth. And that's how we basically train our images, because in text, it's different kind of logic behind. In images, you have to train it differently. So that's what I said about tools, because for images, straightforwardly, you have to use a different kind of way of classifying images. So again, we're using sequential model, which is pretty common in our case. And this is basically the model that we are optimizing here. We can see the results of our model. So we have total parameters of 3 million, trainable parameters of 3 million as well. And in here, we train the model. Okay, how many times? Okay, I still have a little bit of time. So we train the model, and then we basically fit our model with 2 epochs. And that is basically, epochs is the number of time you have to train the model. So in this case, we are training it for 10. We can go for more, but then we might hit overfitting at some point. And as you probably can see, the value accuracy kind of increasing with each epoch. So for you guys to basically understand, maybe you could just change it to, let's say, 15, then run it, and it will give you a better kind of result. So as you can see, this is like a real-time training of the model based on the epochs you're giving. So you train it once, you train twice, you train 3 times, and etc. And then with each time you are given the accuracy, and from that accuracy you can judge, okay, I think it's good enough for me to try and test it on a real data set from just outside world. The real kind of good indicator is when your training is kind of reaching 75%-ish. But again, the more you work on it, the more you understand how basically that kind of indication works, because you wouldn't want to hit underfitting, you wouldn't want to hit overfitting. So something in the middle will be good enough, and that's something I think is applied to life as well. You don't have to be extremely good at something to apply for a job, like we've been discussing, I think before. Zharkyn kind of mentioned that you don't have to be extremely good to apply for a job, but you wouldn't want to be extremely bad to apply for a job. So something in the middle is already a good enough indicator for you to give it a go and try. And basically with each iteration, it will be better and better. So same thing here, as you can see, it's already getting better. But again, it's like you kind of see that there is a hitting point where it's not necessarily increasing. So one of the things you can actually do is you can basically go back to your training data set. You can change something there, or you can change to your features, or you can change some normalization you've done before. So basically, all of this work is tuning things out and making sure that it kind of makes sense, and then kind of launch your model. So this is basically a visualization of training accuracy and validation accuracy. And then there is a bit of a loss here, as you can see. So the training accuracy is increasing linear time for you. Linearly over time, and this is basically linear time as been showing. So it starts at around 60%, as we've seen before, and the difference between the training and validation accuracy is noticeable. So this is a sign of overfitting, and that's, as I mentioned, where you see things happening. So when you see something similar to this and something similar to this, you can totally understand that this is already overfitting, and somewhere good enough to stop is, I guess, here, so that you wouldn't really go for this overfitting part of things. This is data augmentation. I wouldn't really go deep into it because we don't really have much time. This is dropout. As I can just share that link later for you guys to see. Again, we're training it again, and we are visualizing our training data set. As you can see, with all of these kind of tweaks, we can already make it better in terms of training and testing. Okay, so now I am gonna show you guys how basically I approach this model using this example. I think I closed this. Sorry, guys. So what I did is basically I went to a website here, Kazakh jewelries, and I used this tool, Chrome extension, where basically instead of going one by one and downloading each picture over and again, I'm pretty lazy, as you probably noticed. I would just go for some extension out there for me to download all of the pictures. So I use this zip thingy out here. And then what it does for me is that I press on it, it will just see where I am, and it will download all of the images of Kazakh jewelries. Then what I did is I also downloaded a normal jewelries, my tongue, and I basically did it so that we can compare and contrast both of them. Where is the other one? Hey, where is the other one? Is it this one? No, it's not this one. Oh no, don't tell me I closed it. If I closed it, then my results might be lost. Oh shit. Oh, no. No. Oh my God. I'm really sorry, guys. I think I've closed this, and when I close this, it will not save my results. So this is, but I'll basically explain to you what happened here using this example. So what I did here is that in here, you can basically use this file system and download. The data is here, but the code is not. You can basically download. So for example, you can see this is the image and this is the image. I basically shifted some of it to the train data set. And instead of example here using the dataset URL, I use this file from training dataset, and I basically did the same thing. I trained the data, I added some validation data sets, so I split them into half. not necessarily have in here. It's a little bit of a different split, 0.2. And then I also kind of added a normal Kazakh jewelry, so that in here, you know, you can see there is like Kazakh jewelries and then there's normal jewelries. And then what we did is we trained it, and basically what my model did is when I pass the image to it, it will just tell me whether it's a Kazakh jewelry or not. I will make sure to reproduce the same results to you guys and send it to you. I'm really sorry for this sort of a fuck up from my side. I'm really sorry. But yeah, that's the end of my presentation. So if you guys have questions, so I'm open.
Thank you, Dara.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, shit like this happens. we all got used to it. So if you have any questions, the audience, just feel free to contact Dara, and ask some related questions to AI. And I'm very happy that we are all in time. So let me give the microphone to our next speaker.
Привет.
Sakura.
Привет, Sakura.
Hi, Sakura.
Hi. Всем привет. Очень рада всех видеть.
Yeah, feel free, если хотите презентовать на русском, no push.
Да, мне вообще без разницы было на английском, на русском. Я не знала, и у меня презентация на русском.
Ничего.
Вот.
Пока вы подключите свою презентацию, тут есть вопрос, Dara, question to you from Bote, why overfitting is bad?
Oh, that's a good question. Overfitting is bad because overall you would basically train a model that will not necessarily be adaptable towards real test cases. So if you were to give another test case, it would perform poorly because it will overtrain and then will not recognize some other patterns out there that will basically indicate that this is a Kazakh jewelry or not, or like this is this flower or not. So underfitting and overfitting both are not necessarily a great recognition of your model because it will perform poorly on real test cases, on real test data.
Thank you. I hope Dara gave precise response to your question, Bota. So yeah, as I mentioned, you can contact Dara, reach her out, and ask your questions regarding her presentation. So Sakura, I'm opening your presentation. So you're the last.
I've got one thing to mention that Women Techmakers, we have a Discord channel. So if you guys are interested, you can join that channel as well, because in there we are having some open talks, and we also gonna host a International Women's Day as well. So from there, I'll probably have some of you asking to be volunteers for the event. And you guys, I'm really open to also kind of have speakers as well from this panel maybe joining that event. So I'll let you know because it's already open. So yeah.
Yeah, great news. And yeah, feel free to subscribe to Dara's VTM Instagram, Women Techmakers Kazakhstan community, right? So yeah, I guess the information you share there will be very useful to the audience. Okay, so Sakura, mic is yours.
Yes. Я могу и на английском говорить, а презентация у меня будет на русском, либо все на русском. Вот.
Можете, в принципе, да, на русском презентовать. Презентация будет на английском. Мы это потом укажем в комментариях. У нас будет тайм-код.
Только тема на английском.
Окей, без разницы вообще. It's okay. Мы тут все космополиты.
Можно и на казахском, да, значит? Вот. В общем-то, я поделилась экраном, но я загрузила сюда презентацию. Для меня эта платформа новая. Как лучше?
Мы вас видим?
Только я
презентацию.
не поняла, как дальше, как next slide, куда нажать.
Можете снизу просто на слайды кликать.
Ага.
Тут есть слайд-шоу, да, сверху, получается, на верхней части, возле желтой кнопочки. Слайд-шоу.
В общем, может быть, я просто я открыла доступ к презентации. Видно здесь, если я вот так вот буду двигать?
Все видно. Спасибо.
Вот. Так, я рада еще раз всех приветствовать. Меня зовут Сакура Бесенбаева. Я сейчас работаю в Data Science в команде CVM и Data Science в Центре управления данными в банке Центр кредит в Алмате. Моя тема Developing and Deploying Machine Learning Model in Custom Analytics. То есть мы работаем с клиентскими данными, и моя тема будет посвящена моделью клиентской модели, как строить и как внедрять. Вот. Ну, коротко о себе. Я сейчас, статус-кво я рассказала. До этого я была, также работала лектором в нархозе, преподавала нейронные сети. До этого работала дата-аналитиком в Сбербанке, потом в Prime Source в команде Big Data в Сбербанке в Москве. И училась в Высшей школе экономики в Москве, магистратура Big Data Systems, и магистратура и бакалавриат в Аль-Фараби, Kazakh National University на Мехмате. Вот. Сегодняшняя презентация охватывает такие вот разделы, как определение машинного обучения, процесс машинного обучения, что такое клиентская аналитика, какие задачи решаем в клиентской аналитике, на примере модели Next Best Offer, как применить модель, как измерить эффективность в задачах бизнеса, то есть как быть полезной, да, для бизнеса. Также пайплайн модели машинного обучения. Вот. Так, начнем. Машинное обучение. Что такое машинное обучение? У меня вот такая вот диаграмма, немножко отличается от диаграммы Дары. То есть сначала это вот у нас давно было, да, Artificial Intelligence, то есть это не новая тема, на самом деле, искусственный интеллект. Она была давно, но развитие, да, пришлось вот 10 лет, да, тому назад, когда вот появились уже мощные компьютерные мощности, да, появились большие. Вот. Машинное обучение — это статистические алгоритмы, реализующие искусственный интеллект через данные. Если пойти глубже еще, есть глубокое обучение. Это вид машинного обучения с использованием уже многослойных нейронных сетей на большом наборе данных. Так, если сравнивать машинное обучение с программированием, то традиционное программирование выглядит таким образом, что подаются данные, да, input, пишется программа, и в ответ мы получаем output, да, как результат, некий результат алгоритма. А в машинном обучении у нас немножко по-другому, то есть мы подаем на вход и данные, и ответ, да, наш таргет, и в итоге получаем программу, то есть ML-модель. Вот. То есть, когда нужно предсказать целевое событие, имея большой набор данных и за счет накопленного опыта о целевом событии, это мы говорим про машинное обучение, ML. Как создать модель машинного обучения поэтапно? Сейчас разберем, да, коротко, естественно. Во-первых, это определение проблемы. У нас должна быть задача, то есть какую задачу мы хотим решить с помощью нашей модели машинного обучения. Второе – это сбор данных, релевантных, естественно, к задаче. То есть теперь к своей задаче мы собираем данные релевантные, которые помогут нам решить нашу задачу. Затем, когда есть у нас данные, мы их обрабатываем, то есть это чистка, да, сэмплирование, если у нас не хватает немного, да, данных или таргета немного, разделение на train-тест, как мои коллеги до этого рассказали, затем выбор модели, основываясь на типе задачи, какую задачу мы решаем, да, это классификация, либо там регрессия, да, то есть предсказываем некое количественное выражение, либо кластеризация, вот. Выбираем тип модели. Затем, основываясь на входных данных, на количество категорий, также выбираем тип модели. Затем обучаем модель, то есть это предсказание на обучающих данных, изменение весов. Вот особенно в нейронной сети мы можем вернуться, да, назад, backpropagation, и менять веса, и обратно предсказывать. Вот, и повторять эту итерацию несколько раз. Вот. Оценка модели после уже обучения. Мы, естественно, должны оценить нашу модель с помощью метрик на тестовых данных. Бывают различные метрики. Это зависит от типа задачи, какую задачу мы решаем. Классификация, либо регрессия и так далее. Затем оптимизация модели. Мы настраиваем гиперпараметры модели и в конце предсказываем. Вот примерно вот такие этапы. Как создать модель машинного обучения? Я про это уже рассказала, не буду останавливаться. Но есть такой момент, что приходится переобучать модели, валидировать повторно модель. И это может, то есть мы можем выбрать на календаре там дату, когда мы можем переобучить, либо оценить, нужно ли нам переобучать модель или нет. Либо это происходит, если на вход могут прийти там новые неизвестные данные. Вот. В общем, когда возникает необходимость. Далее. Расскажу немножко про клиентскую аналитику. На английском Customer Intelligence, в переводе на английский, да, но можно и Customer Analytics вот, как-то по-разному искать, но в основном я видела вот такой перевод. Что такое клиентская аналитика? Клиентская аналитика – это когда мы анализируем клиентские данные, хотим привлечь клиентов, да, с помощью, возможно, каких-то акций, потом хотим удержать и развить нашу клиентскую базу. Это обширная тема на самом деле, и здесь нужен систематический подход. Вот. Какие задачи решает ML-модели в клиентской аналитике? Вот, если посмотреть здесь на график, сначала идет привлечение, да, клиентов. На это отвечают такие вопросы, как какие каналы развивать, какие каналы сокращать. Возможно, там нужно развивать онлайн-канал, да, больше выходить на онлайн-пространство, либо наоборот, офлайн-канал, да, баннеры, там какие-то другие способы привлечения клиентов. где продавать, кого привлекать, какие клиенты нам выгодны, какие не очень, соответственно, выгодны. Вот, на такие вопросы отвечает вот этап привлечения клиентов. Здесь применяется модель сегментации. Мы сегментируем, кластеризуем клиентов. Вот. Дальше идет этап стимулирования. Мы хотим узнать, что интересно клиентам, на что у них идет отклик, да, какими продуктами, услугами склонен воспользоваться клиент, как повысить в итоге доходность компании, да, как либо там сократить, да, расходы. Вот здесь модели отклика, да, и, конечно, CLTV применяется. В удержании, возврат клиентов применяется модель оттока, всем известная модель, и всем она нужна. Вот, здесь отвечаем на вопросы, какие клиенты склонны к уходу, как удерживать клиентов, кого необходимо возвращать, а кого не очень-то выгодно и, да, возвращать. Бывают и такие ситуации. И обязательно каким способом мы можем вернуть этих клиентов. На самом деле все мы знаем, да, что лучше удержать клиента, чем потерять клиента и потом стараться привлечь их обратно, либо новых. Вот. Во всех этих этапах, ну, начиная со стимулирования до возврата, у нас есть CLTV. Это Customer Lifetime Value, ценность клиента, да, во времени. Вот. Такие вот модели применяются в клиентской аналитике. А теперь построение модели и внедрение с помощью Airflow. Это я расскажу про это на примере модели Next Best Offer. Я построила такую модель, как прогноз покупки кредита, то есть склонность клиента к покупке кредита. То есть я брала пул активных клиентов, смотрела их транзакции за 3 последовательных месяца. То есть, точнее, я брала за активность их, да, транзакций за 3 последовательных месяца. Целевая переменная – это признак наличия кредита. В моей модели уровень целевой переменной составил 2,6%. Это примерно 3000 контрактов. Для построения финальной модели был выбран алгоритм машинного обучения, градиентный бустинг. Также датасет был поделен на трейн и тест датасеты примерно 80 на 20%. Ну, здесь, кстати, очень важно отметить, что уровень целевой переменной, она небольшая, и даже с учетом, что я собирала за разные периоды и данные и склеивала, да, их. И вот когда мы смотрим матрицу, то есть во время анализа данных мы смотрим на матрицу корреляции данных с таргетом, и она выглядит вот таким образом. Вот эти оранжевые, они наиболее близкие по значению поля. Ну, по диагонали красный – это означает, что прямая корреляция, то есть это понятно, да, что значение с собой коррелируется на 100%. Вот. Во время обработки данных очень важно их нормализовать. Бывают данные, значения очень большие данных, вот, допустим, суммы транзакций, да, их нужно будет нормализовать. Здесь, если визуально, нам поможет буксплоты. Также очень важно Очень важно выбрать модель правильно. В моем случае я вот остановилась на градиентном бустинге, потому что градиентный бустинг состоит из нескольких относительно слабых деревьев решений, но в итоге предсказывает, то есть получается сильный алгоритм, сильная модель, с хорошей разделительной силой. Вот. И также техника бустинга позволяет оптимизировать произвольную функцию потери. Это функция потерь, то есть минимизация, хорошо минимизирует ошибки, хорошо обучается на своих ошибках и показывает высокий результат в итоге. Построение модели, оптимизация модели. Здесь у модели есть гиперпараметры модели. Нам их необходимо настроить, если мы хотим получить хороший результат. В случае, если это ансамбль из деревьев, то есть нам на примере градиентного бустинга это max step, estimator, число итераций в бустинге, max features, количество признаков для расщепления в дереве, min sample split, min sample sleeve, также learning rate, скорость обучения. Вот. Так, построение модели. Одна из предпоследних этапов это оценка модели. Здесь я привела как пример Confusion Matrix. Матрица ошибок, переводится по-разному, матрица неточностей, ошибок. Если true negative, true positive, это true positive верно предсказанные, true negative это неверно предсказанные. То есть, что я хочу сказать, что здесь это матрица, комбинация из 4 различных комбинаций, прогнозируемых и фактических значений. По горизонтали мы видим предсказанные значения, по вертикали актуальные, то есть по факту, какие у нас значения есть. То есть у этой модели мы 138 у нас верно предсказанных значений. В зависимости от модели это то есть мы оцениваем это хорошо или плохо. Почему я показываю матрицу ошибок? Здесь еще также очень классно увидеть в процентном выражении, насколько мы ошибаемся, то есть это в деньгах, сколько мы теряем, а сколько мы, наоборот, сокращаем в расходах, то есть увеличиваем прибыль. Также выбор признаков. Здесь показано топ-20 самых наилучших признаков, которые, можно и больше положить в конечную модель. И далее, когда уже модель готова, ладно, не буду спешить. Пайплайн модели. Здесь показана последовательность стадий преобразования данных. Это загрузка данных, как мы уже сказали, нормализация, обработка пропусков, обработка, чистка данных. Затем, если есть какие-то категориальные переменные, то их тоже нужно обработать. Затем можно применить ансамбль и получить метки, в случае, если это модель классификации. В общем, эффект от применения модели в бизнесе. Любая модель должна, как мы изначально уже сказали, должна приносить пользу. в том числе и бизнесу, мы вот считаем у себя эффект от модели, изменяем вот такие вот инструменты. Затем Jupyter Hub мы строим модели. Это надстройка над Jupyter. Он позволяет невидимо для других пользователей запустить свой блокнот. И это такой хаб, да, сервер, содержащий очень много серверов пользователей. Они все могут параллельно заходить и работать. Это очень удобно. Вот. Также панель выглядит вот таким образом. Также вот внедрение модели происходит в Apache Airflow. Есть вот воркеры, scheduler, да, scheduler, как называют, настраивает schedule, то есть график работы дагов в Airflow, и они вот то есть обрабатывают, запускают, да, твой код готовый и обновляют в определенный заданный период, время. Что такое DAG? Это вот такой ациклический граф. На основе Airflow лежит вот этот DAG. Это то же самое, что и код. То есть можно и в Python, да, Python код написать и свою модель обернуть в этот Python код, то есть весь ваш пайплайн обернуть в этот DAG и положить в Airflow. И Airflow, там, допустим, если поставить обновление там, каждый там, час, начиная там, с 1 января 2023 года, он будет обновлять каждый час, либо каждую неделю, каждый месяц и так далее, либо в определенный день недели. Интерфейс выглядит таким образом. Можно напрямую открыть в браузере, использовать как веб-сервер. Вот на рисунке представлен код самого DAG. Также вот если нажать на кнопку Grid, можно увидеть, как отработал DAG в разных периодах. Зелененькие – это означает успешные, отработанные. Красные – это, соответственно, failed, неуспешный DAG. Что-то там, видимо, случилось, сломался DAG. Вот. Моя презентация на этом все. Благодарю за внимание. Если есть вопросы, прошу их задать. И также вот есть у меня такой мини-канал, пока еще, да, можете подписаться и следить за интересными мероприятиями, в том числе про DevFest.
Спасибо, Сакура. Тут просят поделиться презентацией, или есть ли какой-нибудь доступ к ней. Вот бота можете найти в Телеграме Сакуры, ее контакты, и можете позже связаться с ней, если будут какие-то вопросы касательно ее темы и презентации, соответственно. Так,
конечно, безусловно. Я просто беру там немножко, цифры. Вот. Так, да. Конечно, можно выложить. Вот.
Да, в принципе, да, можно, если что, пересмотреть запись. Вот, и дальнейшие вопросы также можете адресовать непосредственно спикеру. Вот. Спасибо большое. Очень информационная, емкая была презентация. Спасибо за ваше время. Это был последний спикер. Я думаю, что как фест от Women Techmakers это был отличный онлайн такой вебинар. GDG Fest, потому что очень обширное разнообразие тем у каждого спикера. Вот. И в дальнейшем, то есть это был первый ивент, ну, последний на 22 год, и дальше уже как Women Techmakers Ambassadors каждый персонально будет увеличивать количество таких аутричей и тематических встреч в онлайне и в офлайне. Поэтому, Айгерим, будем ждать вас в Казахстане, в Алмате. Вот, и очень будем рады встретиться и сделать с вами какой-то митап в офлайн формате.
Приезжайте в Токио. Буду
Да,
рада всем.
в Токио поедем. Вот, уважаемые участники, спикеры, большое спасибо за ваше время, за то, что вы включились. Thank you, everyone. So, if you want to join GDG community, GDG student clubs, feel free to contact Askar or through our Instagram and LinkedIn channels of GDG Central Asia community, which involves not only Kazakhstan, but other 6 countries. So we are always open to any event proposals, any meetup proposals. We will be happy to collaborate with you because our mission is to widespread opportunities provided by Google and other organizations for tech makers. Thank you. I'm wishing you good weekend. И предлагаю всем уйти в субботу.
Thank you for all speakers. Thank you, Mariyam and Askar. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thanks to everyone. It was so nice to meet you and have this wonderful presentations today. Thank you.
Likewise.